We are live with this super duper talk today on twin flames, Mercury Retrograde, and of course, last but not least, our astrology contest giveaway. I've got a whole bunch of names. Oh my God, papers are falling. No, we don't want to miss anyone. Is there anyone else on the floor, my dear? We have a lot of people here that entered into the astrology contest, and I will be giving away 3 prizes. Yes, 3 prizes. One of them is a free entrance into the astrology mentorship program. Okay, valid for 6 months. Super duper gift. Another one will be a private recording for me where I will talk about your soul purpose. I'm going to just zoom in on your North Node and talk about your soul purpose. That's the second gift. And the third gift that I'm giving away for the astrology student is you ask me any question you want about your chart. Astrology student, I will be happy to answer. So these are the 3 gifts that I'm giving away today, and that is why I have this hat over here, and I'm going to be very careful now with this. So we're going to leave this here. And we are going to talk about twin flames and Mercury retrograde. So here's what we're going to do. Happy Saturday to all those joining. Okay, great, Jack. Thank you. You can hear me. Everyone ready? This is how the program is going to roll today for this astrology chat. In the beginning of our talk, we're going to talk about the astrological alignments that are happening because there is a lot of them. So the Mercury retrograde, we're going to talk about some interesting things that Mars is up to as well. We're going to talk about relationships and the astrology of that. And after that, we're going to have a little pause to take our drawing, our 3 names. And after we take our 3 names, I want to open space for you, my beautiful, lovely community, to ask questions. And I want to engage with you today. I want to just invite whoever wants to stick around after the drawing to stay and ask questions. And most specifically, what I want to invite here is the people that are feeling like they're really struggling. Those are the ones that I want to invite to ask questions here. And the reason for that is really because, good morning from Frankfurt. Wow, Saghar, is that how you pronounce your name? Good morning, my dear. The reason why I chose to do this and have this live Q&A, and as you can see, also invite someone very special to this talk, which I'm going to introduce shortly, is because I have been receiving so many messages from you all. You know, just really reaching out, feeling this phase that we're in. Now, this is no big news, no big surprise. We saw it coming way back then, way back last year. It's here. Many people are feeling it. The astrology is insanely off the charts. And there will be new twists and turns to the story as we go. So above and foremost, I don't want to just be here to inform you of what's happening in the skies, but I also want to help you feel supported through this process because I love you. You know I do. I got a freaking moon in Libra in the 11th house. So there you go. So this is, without further ado, this is my best friend, just helper. You know, what are you to me? You're everything to me.
It's definitely a soul connection.
Definitely a soul connection. This man has really been through the trenches of life. And the reason why I chose to bring him up here is because I personally feel that he is the best person qualified to help me help you. Because not only he's been through the trenches, he's coming out with a book, by the way. We'll talk more about that. He's coming out with a book soon, but not only he's been with the trenches, but through the trenches, but the most beautiful thing about Seth is that he has been able to remain soft and with his heart open through it all, which I think is such a beautiful gift and rare, because usually when we go through things, we tend to close ourselves, right? Not to feel the pain. So This man has lived like a million lifetimes in one. And when I met him back in 2016, he gave me a rough draft of his book that was still not printed, and he gave me to read. I couldn't put the book down. I literally read the book in 24 hours, and I cried from beginning to end. I cried from cover to cover because reading his book, like you can't even imagine that a human being has gone through so many different things. And also I looked at you and I was like, oh my God, I found someone who's been through as much as I have and potentially even more. As most of you know, I grew up in a cult and just had a very intense and different upbringing. So what I love about this man is that he not only has survived through it all, made it, but he is a living, shining example today of what it is to thrive in the midst of the hardest tribulations of life. So, this man has overcome serious drug addiction, way back in the day when he was younger. And I mean, so much has happened to him. And he's really a special soul. And I feel that he is better equipped than probably anybody that I personally know to help me help you. Above all, the most special thing about this man that I love is not only his experience and his wisdom, but also his heart. He loves people like I've never seen before. So anyway, you could tell that I'm like, I'm like totally gushing here over this soul, but he is going to be able to help me help you through the Q&As and just participate, right? Of the interaction here of our this and, the astrology contest and the astrology updates and all that. So Seth, is there anything you want to say like before we start?
Yeah, just hello everybody, and Raquel, thank you for bringing me on and introducing me to your audience and everything. And I just want to tell everybody that I'm here to serve. And the reason why I say that is because, like Raquel said, having gone through all the things that I have, I really, really understand not only my own plight, but I understand the human condition. I understand a lot of the things that a lot of people go through that keep them stuck, that keep them from being able to get out of their shell, that keep them stuck in repetitive patterns that often end in hopelessness for a lot of people. They just feel stuck. They don't see how they're going to come out of it. And through countless minutes, moments, hours, days, weeks, months, years of literally just sitting and observing myself, my reactions to life, it goes on and on. I've been able to really get to the heart of what it is that causes us to suffer. And I've been able to release a lot of the tension that kept me enslaved to my own suffering. And I've put this to the test. I've worked with a lot of people who are going through the same or similar situations. And they've all just been like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And ultimately, look, we all want a better world. That's why you guys learn astrology with Raquel. We want a better life. We want a better world. We want to see this this like really destructive way of life that our species has engaged in to transform, to become more healthy, more whole, more balanced. And that starts with us.
Yes.
As individuals.
So exactly. So I am inviting Seth right now to be the daddy of my community. I love you guys. I really do. So I'm really excited to see who's going to win these. I'm really excited because I know so many of these names in here. Like I know so many of you guys. And even yesterday I asked him to print out the names for me and I was looking at the names. I'm like, oh, I know this person. I know this person. So I'm really excited to see who's going to win. Can we start? Are we all here? Yeah.
Good.
Everyone on? Yes. Okay. Why am I stuck with the... Okay, here it is. All right, guys. Astrology. Who here has their coffee, their tea? Because we're going to do some brain exercise here. Let's chat some astrology. You all know by now that something's up. Something's happening, right? I mean, it's just been so intense. And if it's not to you personally, you can look outside your window and just see it happening to everybody else. So it's intense. And relationships are a huge theme right now. big, 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 big. Very interesting how it's all leading up to Valentines as well, right? I mean, we had it yesterday, but it was all leading up to Valentines because we had on the, it was right after I thought I wrote it here, but it was right after the full moon that happened in Leo. Juno stationed retrograde in a square with Pluto and Saturn. So while we had, the whole Venus move, black moon Lilith moving into Aries, people getting more loud, outspoken, then we have Venus joining the club as well. So now we have relationships, matters of the heart. And that was only reinforced by Juno stationing retrograde right at the same time in a square with Pluto and Saturn. This was all leading up to Valentine's week, this week that we just ended right now. So, that's why I wrote a whole post saying, the name of the post was A Valentine's Day to Remember. Many people are going through changes right now. And to top it off, as if that wasn't enough, Mars has also been out of bounds. Right?
That's a lot.
And like a Mars out of bounds is freaking crazy, insane, like wants to do his own thing. So like people just start to feel that restlessness, the anger, the aggression, the assertiveness, the power, you name it. It's all there with Mars. And Mars out of bounds right now is intensifying the whole show. Now, I'm going to make a video next. I think my next video is going to be about the new moon in Pisces. And I want to talk just about Mars in that next video because there's so much happening with Mars right now. And tomorrow at 7 in the morning Eastern time, Mars out of bounds enters Capricorn.
I can feel it.
Right? And when I say Capricorn, I mean, you all kind of know where I'm going here, right?
I already know. She's told me.
2019, 2020, like, it's Capricorn. Capricorn is where, like, things are happening, at least right now, this first semester of 2020, because there is a lot. And with Mars there now, Mars is going to start to activate and bring to life the Capricorn energy. And that's all going to happen, especially during the new moon in Pisces. That's why I'm going to make a whole video about this, because Mars is going to be doing some very powerful moves, especially since the end of this coming week on. Very powerful. So what's happening is that, long story short, we're feeling it. We're feeling it. I mean, you and I, we've been like tucked away from the world, right? Because like in our line of work, we work a lot with people. And so we get so much feedback all the time, day and night, we get feedback from people. So we know what's happening out there overall, right? At least with the community that we're working with. And we're just like, oh my God, this is crazy. And the little bit we turn on the news, it's like, you could see it collectively, you see it individually, and we're just like, whoa. And the little bit that we go out of our houses to just go to the grocery, you see it really loud and clear everywhere. Yeah. So, like, what are some of your experiences with this lately?
What I've noticed a lot is people just reaching out, feeling like they're stuck, like they're alone in the world, like they don't know how to relate to anybody. They feel something that they can't articulate.
Yeah.
And it's confusing to them. They literally feel stuck. And that's just the core of it. Then there's the way they interact with others, their relationships, what they're doing at work. It almost feels like there's so much disorder in the world that they don't know how to find their center so that they can feel balance and at peace with it.
Yeah, and it's normal for this time also for similar things to be happening because we're going through a massive collective transitioning phase. I've been calling it a transitioning phase. Call it healing, call it purging, call it whatever you want. I call it a transitioning phase. So
Well, look, right? Tell me, you tell me what's been going on astrologically. I'm on top of all of
Oh my
our
God,
systems
it's been
collapsing.
insane.
It's like,
It's been insane.
yeah,
And Mars, like when I see the astrology, I'm like, man, this is just getting started. And with Mars entering Capricorn, it's like it's about to just blow things up in there like nothing else. And when it enters Capricorn tomorrow at 7 o'clock, guess what it's going to do? It's going to aspect Uranus in a
mm,
trine. So,
mm,
okay, it's an easy flow of energy, but hey, we are in delicate times here, and it is Uranus, which is change. So, I'm telling you from tomorrow on, the energy is going to shift a lot. And a Mars in Capricorn is strong and sturdy, and, we may feel more determined or, there are great aspects of Mars in Capricorn. But taking the cycles into consideration, Mars in Capricorn is going to activate a whole bunch of things there. And right off the bat as it enters, bam, it's Uranus, right? And then
yeah.
right after that, bam, it's the South Node. Come on. Like, there's a lot of stuff here building up. So, and we're preparing also for a massive transitioning phase because, yeah, from March on, the energy is going to start shifting a little bit, the focus of all this intensity. We're going to talk more about that after. But as far as Mercury retrograde goes, only a few hours after Mars enters Capricorn, Mercury stations retrograde. Now, this is very interesting how it's happening the same day. That's two big shifts of energy here. And let's put Mars on hold for now because this is not going to be a video about Mars. So let's just put him in the back burner. I brought him up just to show you that like a lot is happening right now. So if you're like crying your eyeballs out, like don't think you're being a crybaby. Like it's intense. I feel you. And then we have Mercury retrograde. This is what I want to talk about. Mercury retrogrades tomorrow, 12 hours later at 7 p.m. Eastern time, around 7 p.m. Eastern time. And first of all, we know that Mercury, rules communication. Primarily, it rules all forms of perception of the world and then expression of whatever it is that you want to express, right? So you perceive and then you express, and that's Mercury. And then we know that when Mercury is retrograde, what is affected? The mental processes, of course, above and foremost. Any fields that we partake in that have to do with study, with communication, with learning, with business. This is why Mercury retrogrades affects businesses a lot as well. Mercury is the negotiator, the business, he's the networker, okay? Of course, media, technology, we know,
We
right?
see it clearly, yeah.
We see it clearly. And the people that are in the field of Mercury, more related to like professions that may feel a lot when Mercury is retrograde and all that, these are speakers, writers, travelers, students, teachers, of course, young people, neighbors, siblings, and close relatives. So this is the scope of Mercury, more or less. And I'm not going to go into a full class here. I have a full class on Mercury retrograde that comes for free into the bonus folder of my mentorship program. The mentorship program is really where I teach you astrology A to Z. But right when you get there, you get access to the bonus folder, which has a whole bunch of other classes that I sell individually on my website. Mercury retrograde is one of them. You get it for free just for signing up. Boom, in the bonus folder. So the Mercury retrograde doesn't necessarily mean that this is a time where, all these people that I mentioned here, the speakers, the writers, the travelers, the students are fucked. No. It just means that these are the themes that Mercury tends to express himself more in, because that's the field of life he rules. So the people that work with these themes, they go into this cycle of Mercury retrograde, which is really ultimately about reflection, right? Where did I put it here? Observation and reflection. So for those of you who have watched my Mercury retrograde class, you know that a Mercury retrograde is not where everything goes backwards. But really, a Mercury retrograde is just a small part of a 4-month cycle. So this little part of the 4-month cycle that we call Mercury retrograde is the part of the cycle that we review. We review the ideas that we began, for us right now is back in November. Like literally, that's when we had the planting. And wasn't it back in November that him and I started like planting seeds also to take this work here he's been helping me a lot behind the scenes too, by the way, get all the structure and the technology part of it, which is not my strong point. And it was in November where we just like gradually, naturally started to, plant the seeds, talk about it, experiment with certain things. And I'm using our example here so you can also see with your life. Around November was the time that we planted the new seeds for ideas, businesses, projects, just small little adjustments, new directions altogether, small adjustments, or just opening up to new possibilities. That happened in November. That was part of the cycle. That was the beginning of the cycle. Then we have now, in are we in January, February? My God, I'm just like so lost. Right now in February, we are at that part of the same cycle that began a few months ago, where we are taking a back step and reviewing, okay, how can we do better? What can we do now? Okay, great. We got all these things accomplished, and it's true. We set these goals for ourselves, and we said that by this time, we'd be wrapping things up to just take everything to the next level by March. And so this is the part of the cycle where you start to kind of take a back seat, reflect and observe at everything that, right? Did it work? Did it not work? What can be better? Should we throw it all away? Start something new? It's just that part of the cycle. So now we're taking away the whole like scary thing of Mercury retrograde, like, oh my God, like communication goes backward. Like, yeah, it goes backward. Like, but it's not. You're looking at the little tiny like freckle of the donut here, like I'm
beneficial. It can be something really beneficial.
Yes, because and I explain all this in my Mercury retrograde class. My crowd already knows this. They know that the messages go crossroads and communication, all that. Really, because it's a time that the energy is asking us to go more inward, to observe and reflect on the goals and ideas and things that began a few months ago, right? So ultimately, that's what's happening. So if we try to externalize that energy, it kind of backfires on us. So that's really what happens. And at the end of the day, a Mercury retrograde is designed for that purpose. In here, we work with cycles. So that's part of the Mercury cycle. I go in depth about the cycle in my Mercury retrograde class for all those you interested in knowing more. But then what happens is that Mercury turns retrograde tomorrow night. And so it is a time, and this is an interesting dynamic here because Mars enters Capricorn out of bounds. So it's like that part of our energy levels and our nature, that fire, the Martian energy is full speed ahead now. Especially in Capricorn. Capricorn is only concerned with rolling up his sleeves and getting the job done. But then on the other hand, we have what?
Venus and Aries, right?
Yes.
In Chiron.
Yeah,
Chiron.
but then what is it that I'm just talking about right now? So we have Mars entering Capricorn in the morning.
Oh.
And then at night, the other M, Mercury. Mercury turns retrograde. And so Mars wants to go. Mars wants to be accomplished, get things done. And Mercury is like, I don't know. I think I need to review. And in Pisces. And conjunct Neptune. So Mercury stations conjunct Neptune to go retrograde in Pisces. And that doesn't really help linear, like, objectivity, if you want to put it that way. Yeah. Because Pisces and Neptune is not about being linear and objective. And I'm not talking here that people that are Pisces are not, no. I'm talking about the characteristics of each sign. You're not just your fucking Pisces sun. Sorry for saying that. Sometimes I get like, so like,
you get one up.
This is Mars out of bounds, and it's in my first house. It's in Sagittarius. It's my first house. So it comes out, and I like, okay, let's chill here, Raquel. This is why I have like my Pisces sun here. He is a Pisces sun. Speaking of Pisces, it's not because you're a Pisces sun that you're not going to be objective and clear. This is the overall energy of Pisces, because even though you have a Pisces sun, you, for example, you have a Venus in Aries. And a Venus in Aries is a super go-getter. Super go-getter. So just when I say Pisces or when I talk about, it doesn't mean that all the Pisces are like this. It means that the overall energy of Pisces is not linear. So what happens is that when Mercury stations retrograde in Pisces and conjunct Neptune, we can feel very blurry when it comes to making big and objective decisions. To top it off, Mercury will retrograde all the way back to a very sensitive spot that's going to be featured on the new moon in Pisces. More on that on the new moon. And when it does that, it's going to be conjunct a Mercury retrograde on the Pisces new moon. Okay, so that means that the new moon is highlighting Mercury retrograde. Okay, that's basically what it means, but we're going to talk more about that. So Mercury conjuncts moon and sun in Pisces. In the meantime, you know what's going to be doing? It's going to be aspecting Uranus, the planet of change. Now, this is why I've been writing in my posts that many people may be changing their minds, maybe going back in their words. This is a possibility because you already have a Mercury retrograde that can be a little indecisive or evaluating, which is actually what's meant to be. You know, you're supposed to be evaluating. But it's in Pisces evaluating, conjunct Neptune, right? Stationing retrograde. And then, bam, on the new moon, aspecting Uranus change. So some people will be going back in their words, changing their mind, or making some big adjustments in their work. Of course, on a global level, we'll see this play out as well, but individually, this is going to be really, really, really important. And I'll let you, I know you want to share something here, but I just want to add that I see this as a very positive thing, because at the same time that Mercury is going to be aspecting Uranus, it's also going to be in a trine with the North Node. So it's like whatever floats your boat around that time, it's like divinely guided. You know, it's aligned with the soul purpose. It's somehow going to take you to the next direction where you are meant to be. Do we have any big questions in there?
Not yet.
Okay.
But yeah, if anybody wants to ask any questions,
yeah, I mean, we'll definitely answer
everything.
the live questions soon. And
we can go into some, like, you know, if anybody's struggling or going through anything specifically.
Yes.
Like,
for all those joining in now, this is the program, is that we're talking about the astrology first. Number 2, we're going to do the drawing, the astrology contest on this hat. And then number 3, we're going to open up for live Q&A, especially people that feel that they're struggling. Okay. And we're going to just share a lot of insights along those lines. Okay. Did you want to add something to what I was saying? Or
essentially, like, to simplify it, with all of these really harsh alignments going on, it creates confusion, right? It creates a lot of
confusion.
Like, we don't know. We have this feeling of we're not quite sure what's happening. And so the way I perceive it, and
fear too, right? A lot of fear. Like a lot of people, there's a lot of fear going on too.
A lot of worry, a lot of stuff that keeps us really kind of trapped in these parts of our bodies where we're stressed out. And when we're pumping out stress hormones and we're really just like to the end of our limit, it's hard to see the bigger picture. right? And so a lot of people think that being stressed out and being worried and being nervous and having anxiety is normal,
Ugh.
but it's not normal. And so the way that I've found to be able to get out of things that are really causing me to struggle, to suffer, whatever,
Yeah.
is to literally get into my heart. And I know it sounds cliche. A million people have heard it. Quote unquote, love is the answer, right? We've heard it a million times. But it truly is, in the sense that wherever you direct your energy, whatever you're focusing on, is what you're going to be getting. Me, because of all the things that I've been through, I had no choice. Well, I had a choice. I could suffer endlessly. Or my only other choice was to focus my energy on my heart. And instead of
Yeah.
feeling like a victim being subjected to the woes of life, I just said, okay, this isn't happening to me, it's happening through me. And if you can
That's
find
huge.
it within, like they say, the brain thinks, right? The mind thinks, but the heart
Wow.
knows, right? There's this innate intelligence in the heart. And when we, with the little bit of intelligence that we have with our normal waking mind, focus on this innate intelligence of the heart,
Yeah.
right? Then things start to get more clear. That fear, that anxiety, the stuff that holds us back suddenly isn't so front and center anymore. We can relax a little bit. We feel okay. And there's a reason for it without getting into it.
Yeah, and we'll get more in depth in that too, to answer any questions if you have, like how to do this and what does it mean and all that. I love what you said about like when something really intense is happening, how you said to yourself, like, no, this is not happening to me. This is happening through me. That's beautiful, because you're automatically removing yourself from the perspective of the victim, right?
Yeah.
And so automatically you're able to first surrender, and then you see things with more clarity in your life, and then things just speed up, you gain the wisdom, you move on, and then you're like, okay, I get it, right? But what a powerful, positive
yeah.
mentality to have.
And anybody can do it. That's the thing. Like we think that to have higher spiritual truths or to be empowered or to be is something for only the few or the rare few or
Yeah.
special people who are born with it. And it's not the case at all. Everybody has it. If your heart is beating, you can take your awareness, direct it into your heart,
Yeah.
make a habit out of it, and then feel what happens, right?
And I love what you're saying this too, because you're talking about the heart. And I love this because it's a perfect segue into the twin flame subject that we were going to bring up as well. Because like not only we're having all these intense alignments, just really bringing a lot of stress globally, but also relationships are being affected so much right now. You know, and part of it, yes, we are dealing with a lot of intense emotions. And so, of course, the partner is the first one to see it all or to project it or to receive your projections. But there's also a specific dynamic that is being focused right now on relationships. To make matters more complicated, Venus has been conjunct Chiron, Black Moon Lilith in Aries, right? Aries doesn't hold back. Aries is all about war. Let's go to war. Like, you know, no, Aries is like, war? Did anybody say war?
Yeah, send me. Put me there. Let's go.
Yeah,
Like, it's that attitude,
Mars
right?
and Aries is like, war? Did anybody say war? You know? So, like, of course, it doesn't mean that every Venus in Aries, like I know you have a Venus in Aries, is going to be out to war. Like, Aries is also very, like, unbeatable. You know, so it definitely brings an element of...
There's a resiliency.
Well, there's a lot of courage. Resiliency is a little more with mutable signs, but there's a lot of courage. It's like nothing scares them. So there's very positive qualities too, but there's also very sensitive territory for relationships. And this is something that we want to talk about. And should we talk about that after we do the live drawing?
Yeah, I mean...
Because it really boiled... Like, yeah, let's talk more about
Yeah.
it after the drawing. Let's talk more about the twin flames after the drawing.
Because then we go deeper into it.
Yeah, because I feel that, like, if we open Pandora's box here, like, we'll just go down the rabbit hole. But it's almost like when we talk about the heart, it's not just the heart for, you know, surviving everything, going through these times, being in the heart, but also so that you can find your own wholeness within yourself without having to need, your partner to behave in a certain way, or if you're single, having to need anybody in your life. You know, I'm going through that right now because I'm single. And it's difficult for me. Like, honestly speaking, it's difficult for me to be single. I haven't really ever been single before. So I'm taking this time, like, literally to just discover new and profound ways of loving myself, you know? And so it's about reaching that level of wholeness within yourself that it's like you can be in the relationship, in the world, in your job, but your happiness and your sense of wholeness is not contingent upon your partner or the lack of it or that or this or that or the other. So this is what we want to talk about, because this has been a game changer for us. Any questions here before we get on the drawing?
Look at Venus.
Oh, you want to bring her here?
I wish I could.
Yeah, bring her here. Venus,
we'll bring in Venus for good luck. How about that?
We'll bring Venus for good luck. And she'll say hi. She doesn't like cameras. She's a Capricorn moon. So even though she's Venus and she's beautiful and adorable, she's kind of grumpy. Hi, baby girl. You want to say hi to everyone? Put her here on the desk. She just wants to say one thing, and that is Happy Valentines. Oh, all right. You gonna help mommy pull the names out of the hat? Yeah.
Nope.
Okay. Let's see. Do you want to pull it out for me?
Sure.
Let's send blessings and love, and just that the person who is meant to get this will get it, and knowing that there's going to be many more live drawings and contests to come. Because now that I am finally structuring my work and having the adequate help to do so, we're going to be totally doing a lot more contests and a lot other things as well. So I'll pick the first one.
Okay.
And the first one...
Does it matter? Is it you doing it like third prize, second prize, first prize, or does it even...
Okay, let's do first for the...
Third. Start with third usually, and you build up to the first.
All right, what's the third? A student? Astrology student?
Do you have your list here? I don't even remember.
No. This is for the astrology student. If by any chance this is not an astrology student, then we will work something out. But this is for the person who is going to be asking me a question about their chart. So this is for the astrology student, hopefully. And let's see who the first name is. Let's see who the first name is. And it's fuzzy, right? Can't see anything here. Teresa Sufel. I don't think I know.
You want to hear something? I'm not even joking. When I was cutting these up,
what?
I saw that name and I knew it was going to be a winner.
No way! Oh my god, that's amazing!
I don't know why, I just knew.
Okay, so I can't show because it's like it doesn't zoom in. But so Teresa, Theresa, last name Szufel. My dear, your name is here. You are the astrology student that gets to ask me any question about your chart.
I'm going to write number 3 on that just so you know.
Now we go to the North Node and the soul purpose. So this is going to be a mini reading on your North Node. This is going to be a mini reading on your soul intention of being here. This is a big one. And those of you who have had readings with me know what this is all about. It's really powerful. So you want to pick this one?
It changed my life. Your readings have... All right, I'm not going to look.
All right.
Let's see. So I got one.
Fran! Fran Arnett. I know you, my dear. Yes, Fran Arnett, you win. You are the winner of... I'm going to be taking a look at your soul purpose here, Fran. How exciting, sweetie. I'll get in touch with you, or you get in touch with me, and we'll take it from there. And last but not least...
No, actually, number 1. This is the winner.
Yeah, that's why last, but it's definitely not least. Yeah. Number 1. All right. And for the astrology mentorship program, and guess what, guys? It's like literally 11:11 right now in the morning. at Eastern time. So this is going to be like,
wow.
This is meant
magic.
to be. Oh my God, I got 2 people. What does that mean? Like, I seriously got 2 people.
Look, the stars are aligning for someone.
I got a man and a woman for the Twin Flame contest. This is amazing. I guess I'm supposed to give 2 free entrances into my... You want to hear something funny? When I started creating the contest, and you even saw this, remember I told you guys I was going to give 3 gifts? For some reason, I had this urge to do 4. And I wrote like this on the template. I was like, I'm feeling extra generous. I'm not going to do 3. I'm going to do 4. And then he looks at me and he's like, wow, you're really going for it. So then I thought a little more. I'm like, okay, there'll be more contests. I'll just keep it 3. But I think it was supposed to be 4.
Let's try something. I don't want to see who it is.
Okay. What?
Is one of them?
Yes.
Is it really?
How do you know?
Same thing, because he commented on here.
Say it out loud. So middle name?
My middle name is Leaf, but the guy's name is Leaf, right? Is one of the winners?
Yes. Oh my God, that's crazy.
This is why I knew, okay?
Your energy is like bringing stuff here. Well, no,
because when we were I was talking before, and I was saying about going through hard times, and he wrote, I'm excited on this, and when I saw that, I was like, yes, that's the energy, because
oh my God,
people constrict, they contract, they feel like victims, but when you're like, no, this is what I need, I'm excited, I'm excited to face my challenges, and I just saw I get a good vibe, and he won.
God, so my dear Jonathan Leaf drags Seth, and his last name is oh my God.
The last part of his name is my first name.
Oh my God, his name is Seth Leaf. His name is Seth Leaf.
Leaf. Yeah. Right? And his is...
Jonathan Leaf Dragseth. Okay, that was really fascinating. And the other, dear, I also know you, my dear. Welcome into the mentorship program, Kyla Reynolds. Reynolds. Sorry, there's a Y here, and I'm Brazilian, so I say Reynolds. Yeah. Okay, Kyla Reynolds and Jonathan Leaf. My God, that's amazing. Congratulations. And like I said, there will be many more live contests and drawings to come. So very, very exciting. Guys, thank you all for participating of this contest. And now I want to open the floor for us to take a deep breath. That was really interesting how it was 11:11.
Right at that
right
time.
When I was starting to pick up the names, and it came 2. It's like, how do you explain these things? And I will tell you that this Mercury retrograde is going to be really good for spiritual things. Like intuition, vivid dreams, psychic activity, because it's stationing conjunct Neptune and Pisces. And even though Neptune and Pisces are not about the linear, logical thinking, they are all about spirit. And then when Mercury trines the North Node, wow, this is really powerful energy for intuition. So
exactly.
Well done.
Exactly. Yeah,
this is astrology in action.
Yeah. Congratulations, everybody.
Whew. So, Kay, how are you, my dear? Okay, now I'm looking at the comments here. Oh, Kay, you're so sweet. Congratulating everybody. Raquel as well. Oh, you guys are so loving. What a wonderful way to spend our Saturday morning. Let's open the floor for questions if we have any.
Or maybe talk about twin flames a little bit.
Let's talk about twin flames. And as we do, maybe a lot of your questions will be answered. I can monitor a little bit of the questions here, because I know you're gonna, yeah. So we were talking about twin flames, and what are your observations on that? Just this whole theme of twin flames. It's such a big theme.
So a little bit of what we were talking about, people tend to over-idealize, right? Or we want things to be a certain way, and they're usually not that way in life as we're learning, right? And so we give this air of fantasy or belief or idea to certain things, hoping they're going to be a certain way. And people tend to do that, especially with relationships.
Yeah.
So the whole idea of twin flame, it's almost like this romanticized, fantasized, oh, if only life was perfect, I'd have this ideal partner or mate or somebody who just complimented me and everything was perfect. But then we are like, oh, wait a minute. Life for most people is not like that.
No.
And so what I've learned in my own journey is that the attributes that I would love to have in a partner or a mate or in a business relationship or in any kind of relationship, a friend, whatever, are really aspects of myself that I don't feel are complete or developed from within me, right? So
Yeah.
what we were talking about a little bit last night, I think it was last night or
Yeah.
one of these
I
nights,
think we were talking last night about it.
was we are now in this time when we as a species are living so disharmoniously with the planet, the financial system, the environmental system. All these systems that are in place are breaking down, they're collapsing, they're just becoming destroyed basically. They're just
Yeah.
totally out of whack. And
Which
that
is okay. Like, don't get
it's
scared. Like,
great.
it's yeah.
It's
It's
I mean
a good
it's
thing.
challenging, right? There's
Yes.
growing pains, there's things that are rough about it. But again, when we look at this not as something to run and hide from, but as like, okay, this isn't, and this might be kind of out there for some people, but when you really take what a lot of people are calling radical self-responsibility for, okay, the issues that I'm experiencing in my life that I don't like and that I'm perceiving in the world around me are a direct reflection of a part of my own awareness that I haven't taken responsibility for acknowledging or expanding, then suddenly the world looks very different, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I don't want to like interrupt you here, but Raquel asked a really good question. If there is such a thing as triplet flame, because the twin flame is one soul that is split into two, so could it be split into three? This is very interesting because like I'm going to be honest here. I mean, I want to hear what you have to say about this, but like I don't take things so quite literally because I feel like we have like words and concepts that are like representation for things that we're not fully ready to grasp and understand yet. And so I know, and I've been saying this since November, last November, that we're preparing to have a massive shift in the way that we view relationships. We are, trust me, especially after this Venus retrograde coming up in May. Relationships are going to be
Front and center.
yes,
It's the next
and it's
thing.
starting now. And even now, we through our trials or tribulations are figuring out what we want, what we don't want, what works, what doesn't, and then figuring out that it's really at the end of the day all about ourselves and so forth. We're going through a massive transitioning phase of redefining our placement in relationships. So right now, you know, we have relationships and twin flame, and it's a concept and it's beautiful, and we all have that desire to meet that significant someone. But I'll tell you that, like, at this stage of the game, I'll tell you that for me, a twin flame is, it doesn't even have to be someone that you're romantically involved with. Okay. Yes, it's someone that you are so in harmony with and you're so in tandem that you have that that telepathy that, you know, when one falls, the other one can pick him up. It's like that balance, right? It's the yin yang typically.
Yeah.
And so as far as Raquel's question goes here of three, absolutely. I can absolutely, and if anything, this is where we're heading, is to have not only three, but 4, 5, 6, until we eventually find out that, hey, we are literally all one, right? And so, of course, it doesn't mean that we're all going to be like married to each other, but it's that principle of understanding that, hey, this type of love, telepathy, connection does not only have to be reserved for my romantic partner. What if you don't have one? And it's only now at this stage of my life, you know, through these last, especially like 6 months, that I've been really redefining my understanding of what relationships are. So I know, yeah, and this is like happening collectively as well. Like I see a lot of people wanting to experiment with free love, with open relationships, really at the end of the day breaking the norms and the traditions from the system. Fantastic, great. But like even then there's still problems, there's still like jealousy, there are the pros and cons. So like at the end of the day, it's not even about that. And I feel that like the twin flame relationship is really that solid telepathic union that you find with another human being. And yes, it's totally possible, in my opinion, to find out with 3 or more people.
Look, I'd like to expound upon that. Of
Yes.
course, it's like absolutely, we live in a universe or in a world of endless possibility. But, if you're going to meet a quote unquote twin flame or a triple flame, whatever, and you know it, like if it happens and you know it, you're like, oh my God, it makes perfect sense. But if it's not happening or you haven't met somebody who represents that for you,
Yeah.
I take that, like, I'm not going to wait around for somebody to complete me, right?
Exactly.
I'm going to do the work within myself so that I feel complete. I don't need anybody, anything, any place, any time to do that. All I need is my own willingness to connect with what I have available to me, which is a
Yeah.
lot. Our bodies are amazing, right?
Yeah.
We have glands, we have centers, we have all these aspects in our bodies that most people aren't even connected to, which is kind of crazy because they live in the body, but they're oblivious to what they have actually have access to. So by activating the heart, by activating all these other energy centers, and by activating them, it's really just as simple as being present with your being, feeling it with elevated emotions from a heart-based perspective. The more you do that, the more you make a habit out of it, the more you begin to generate feelings of self-love, of appreciation, of awe, of wonder. And that in turn makes you feel so complete and so whole that you don't really care
Yeah.
if you attract anybody or anything, because that feeling within is so profound that
Yes.
you know that when and if somebody's going to come into your life, it's going to come as a result of you choosing to be that within yourself first.
Yes.
So,
And Tatiana's spiritual toolbox said a very beautiful thing. She says that all in one, yes, it is the inner grids of feminine, masculine, negative, positive polarity in harmony. So it's not about people. Twin flame is energetics. Beautifully
yes,
said.
yes,
And this is
yes.
beautiful because, yes, maybe you'll find, with another woman, with another friend, like Raquel said, thank you. And she said, where is Raquel? So Raquel
Raquel's right
said,
there.
yeah, I know, right? Raquel said, thank you. Well said, because I think I found 2. One
Oh,
romantic and one friendship.
beautiful.
So there is no rule. Like, come on, guys. There's no like right or wrong. Like, this is not about gender. This is about a soul connection that is being it's being a possibility in our reality to experience this type of union so that we can know ourselves as whole in a new level and not so much a separate individual. So whether you have this with a friend, whether you have this with a lover, whether you have this with a woman or a man with a man, or whatever, or 3, 4, 5 people, like, I think everybody has some sort of a desire to like one day see just people living in community and harmony with each other, and and just sharing things, and I mean, who
Yeah.
doesn't want that? So I think, like, in my opinion, the twin flame thing is just a starting point for all of that, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. We could talk about relationships. It's such a big topic.
Yeah, no. Well, it's true. Look, we all know, and a lot of people know at some level, that in order for true positive change to effectuate our world, to make the world better, it takes us as individuals really stepping up and developing these attributes within ourselves.
Yes, yes, because nobody's going to do the work for you. And if we have old patterns, even from stories that are very valid, very real, that happened to you when you were a child or whatever, when we hold on to those patterns, we tend to keep reflecting them in our relationships. So it's a serious thing. And I had to come, and you and many other people, I'm sure many of you watching too, I had to come to this realization the hard way. Like, hey, it's not because I'm single or because I'm with someone or that my problems are going to go away. So it really becomes about you finding that wholeness within yourself, no matter what, that state of unconditional joy. And of course, we are human, and we're going to have our, ups and downs, our moments where we feel the human emotions, but it's very different because you don't stay stuck in it. And you don't stay like angry or holding on these vibrations, like he was saying, that are related to stress, anger, jealousy, like all those things, stress.
Yeah.
And when we can find that place of unconditional joy, this is the eye of the storm. And this is something that we develop with time. That's why we're here, to do it all together. When we find that place, guess what? You don't have to keep reflecting your old patterns onto your relationships. You are free to actually find someone who is now an actual vibrational match to where you are. Whereas before, it's like most people are looking for that vibrational match to where they want to be. Right? That's really what's happening. But instead, become that first, and then you will become a vibrational match to that which you already are. So at the end of the day, I think that's what we're talking about here. And that's really the key to everything.
And look, Kay brought up a really good point here. She said, I have a specific twin flame relationship that has been the most difficult, yet most rewarding. I learn about myself through this person. So that's a great point, because
very good one.
While we're sitting here emphasizing, go
good,
within, develop feelings of wellness, of wholeness, of love by yourself, which obviously is like paramount, right? It's very important. But at the same time, what about all the other relationships that we already have? Does that mean you just get rid of everybody and everything and just see you later, I'm going within? No, not necessarily.
You're having to face that.
Yes.
In your personal life with some people that you know.
Absolutely. But that's a choice, right? That I've made. It wasn't necessarily like, okay, this is done. Oh, I found self-love from within. Bye, you're out of my life.
Yeah.
It's been more of like me going through this process of like, okay, this person is showing me something that I don't necessarily like to see, right? I'm in a relationship with somebody for whatever, and they're showing me something that's stressing me out, and I'm resisting it. I don't want to resist it. But instead of being like, oh, I don't like this, I don't want to deal with it, I instead do the opposite. It's like, okay, right, taking responsibility, like I said before, what is this showing me? If I resist it and try to retract and contract and hide out, and then I'm not going to be able to work through whatever it is. But if instead I stay open to the degree that I'm like, what is this actually teaching me? And I stay, like you said, the calm in the eye of the storm, right? The center of the storm. When you maintain that calm, then you're able to view things in a more objective way. And then from that place, you can assess whether or not the relationship is serving you, or if adjustments need to be made in the relationship, right? And a lot of the time, what I've noticed is because you can't change people, right? People only change when they want to change. But what I've noticed from doing this work and really, really committing to it for countless hours and days and weeks and months, like I said earlier, I've noticed that when I truly make these fundamental energetic changes, which somebody said earlier, from the inside out, I see other people reflecting back to me the changes that I made internally.
Yes.
And when that happens,
it's amazing.
When that happens, it's amazing, because we all know that it's possible, right?
Yeah.
Some people are better at it than others, but to most people, that's like, it's a pipe dream. It's not real. But when you really commit to this and you see that happening, it just kind of like clears the board, right? The chalkboard's clear. It's a clean slate in the sense that you're like, whoa, I can really create my life in such a healthier version, such a more healthy version of what it was before, by really being whole and healthy from within.
Yes.
That's amazing.
All right. There are some great questions coming in. If you want to, I'm going to talk a little bit if you want to read about Angie Jack afterwards. But one of the questions here is Zena is saying, what is your friend's name, please?
That's good. I forget my name. Oh,
my beautiful friend, Seth. His name is Seth.
Leaf. Seth Leaf is my name. And it's funny because Jonathan Leaf dragged Seth.
Oh my God, that was too
the
much.
last part. And I've seen his name on here before, but hey,
So
brother, by the way, hello. Not to just objectify you and talk about you, but yeah, his last name has my first name in it, and his middle name is my middle name, but mine's Leaf. Yeah,
so, and we always like kind of we were like, wow, what a interesting synchronicity. His name is Seth Leaf, and mine's Raquel Spring. So we're like the
Right.
spring leaf. And the funny thing is that he owns one of his businesses. He has a lot of different businesses. One of it is a water bottle company. By the way, one of the few ones in the world that are doing it right. Okay. And the name of his company is called Tourmaline Spring. So we joke around about the spring, like, the spring team here. It's Raquel Spring, Tourmaline
team.
Spring. Anyway, Zena, Seth is just someone who has had he's lived like a million lives in one, and he's had a lot of hardships throughout his life and been able to come out on the other side as the most beautiful, loving Pisces sun with a Taurus moon. He's just pure love. And now he's helping people. He's writing a book, coming out with a book. He has different companies that he's created as well. So that's my friend Seth. And the other question that I wanted to answer here is about the trigger. Addie, you're like, they want to trigger you. Walk away and then engage in that. It's tricky because there are many different ways that your conflict could be happening. Like it could be something that you're showing yourself. It could be just maybe you witnessing and observing someone have their moment. And if that's the case, yes, you either walk away or you can continue holding space for them, depending on who it is. But the secret is to not get emotionally triggered and to know that, hey, I've been there, done that. I've also lost my patience. I've also had a bad day or whatever. And you're able to hold that space and not take it personally, not make it about yourself. But yes, generally speaking, if you're in a situation where there's abuse of any form, you want to walk away.
Get out.
Yeah, you want to get out. So even you don't have to deal with the stress and then have to make decisions based on that moment of stress. You leave, clear your head, get into your heart, see things that are happening for what's really happening, and then you can go back and work it out.
Yeah. So what you were saying, absolutely. Abuse, anybody's abusing you, walk away. You don't need it. More of what we're talking about are like pre-existing relationships where you can't get away, essentially. And so it's like reevaluating how to interact with that person from a place that is you being complete from within. So
yes. All right. Did you get to read the other question or no?
I didn't.
We'll answer one or two more questions and then we'll wrap it up. Okay. So maybe you can get one and then I'll get one and then we'll wrap up today's video. But, oh, that's so sweet. What if twin flames both turn away from? It's interesting. This is a very interesting question. Someone asked here, what if both twin flames turn away? First of all, like I said in the beginning, I personally don't like to really get stuck in labels. So what I mean is like, I don't really have a definite concrete opinion or perception of what a twin flame is, especially because there are many different variations of this interpretation out there. So I'm not going to be one more here to offer one and take, I don't do that. I got a ton of things in Libra. I just look at things objectively and, I don't like to take the twin flame literally like it has to be this way. Like I said, twin flame to me is just an opening that we're having into a transition phase, which is a very gradual process of redefining our relationships. So then that means all the way from marriages to lovers to friends to coworkers to then just realizing that we're all just one. So with that being said, I don't stick to the, twin flames need to be this, need to be that, need to be the other. They need to stay together. They need to be apart. They need to know that they're twin flames. Both of them need to know thunder needs to fall from the sky. Like, I don't know. Maybe I haven't had enough experience. But I feel you're my twin flame, and I feel very connected with several people.
Yeah.
So I think that when it comes to like walking away, I think that it's important for us to keep in mind and remember that each person is still their individual expression of the spark of life. And each individual expression of the spark of life still has their choices, their perceptions, old wounds that they have or have not healed. Like, we have our little stories and our variations. And there's so many factors that can go in it. Maybe it's not the right time, or maybe the other person needs to, or maybe it is. There's so many factors. So I just want my suggestion here so that you can stay flexible and open and not like take things so seriously. Because I've literally seen people like, he's my twin flame. I can't live without him, but he doesn't see it. What do I do? Like literally freaking out. And then creating stress in your body, which at the end of the day goes against everything that we're supposed to be doing. So it's not even about the twin flame it's really about finding that place within yourself. And then from that place, you start connecting with others on that level.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So look, somebody asked a question here that is really how to open the heart.
Oh, let's end with that then. Beautiful, beautiful. Take it away.
All right. This cut me off if I go too long because this is a big topic. And I feel like it's a good question because it's a short question.
Let's set 10 minutes. 10 minutes to talk about it? 10 minutes so we wrap it up?
It's a great question because it's something that everybody can benefit from. And it's something that even the ones who practice opening their heart and living in a heart-centered space need constant reminders about. Because even like me, I practice this all the time. But it's easy, okay? None of us are perfect, right? Or we're imperfectly perfect. We are living in a world where we're constantly learning. We're constantly being subjected to experiences that are where we have basically one of two options to either close down or open up to. And it's hard to know which one to do based on a lot of different factors, both seen and unseen, karmas, past life, whatever. There's a million things that can, or just trauma in this life that can prevent us from opening up. But here's the thing, okay? I'm going to try to break this down in a way that's simple and anything you want to say to add in.
Open your hearts, everyone, because we're going to be ending now on a beautiful, positive note. And I truly want nothing but love and joy for each one of you. And trust me when I tell you that it's all about the heart.
Yeah.
So let's open our hearts as we end this. And let's... we're going to wrap up very soon. So I just want to say congratulations one more time for the people that won. I will be shortly again talking about the new moon video too. We have the astrology mentorship program for those that are interested in learning more. And let's have a beautiful, relaxing, love bathing session to our hearts before we go on with our weekends, because we're in for quite a big week ahead. And being in our hearts is going to be very important.
Yeah. All right. Here's it. Let's look at the human condition real quick. We're born into a world that is constantly... We're born into a world that is constantly stressing us out, right? But as we're developing inside of our mother's womb, the heart comes online and starts beating before the brain even develops.
The first organ. First organ.
We are like that
heart.
Same when we were a little tiny embryonic reptilian lizard looking creature, right? We're salamander looking thing. In our mother's womb, our heart was beating. As we grow up, as we develop, we are kids, we're excited, the awe and wonder, the joy, excitement of the world is there. We're living in a heart-based state. We're open, we're receptive, we're learning, we're loving, we're having fun. But then something happens. We get traumatized. It could be for some as simple as somebody saying something that hurts our feelings. It could be way worse, abuse, sexual abuse, violent abuse, whatever. It could be a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But something happens that causes us to not feel safe. When we don't feel safe, we move out of our heart. We go into our mind, our analytical mind, and we start wondering, am I good enough? Did I do this? Is it this? Is it that? We start to question ourselves. This puts us in a hyperactive state of fear and anxiety, where a lot of our worries are corresponding to the lower energy centers of our body.
Which are the first three chakras.
They're
energy centers,
chakras,
they're referred to. People have different names for them, but
and that's where most people are stuck, right? They're in that lower thing. Like
it's like a very survival. It's good. It serves its purpose. It's part of the human experience. But it's like most people, like we're just here. So then we make decisions based on here, right?
And what are those decisions, right? They're all decisions based upon...
Mars is out of bounds in my first house. I had to that.
Look, and she's like, a lot of it is that laughing, like, play, be like a kid, because when we're stuck in these centers, we're producing stress hormones, cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine, all these stress hormones are being produced constantly because we're always up here. We're worried. It's this and that. Oh, I gotta work, the kids, this,
and
that.
It kicks off the fight or flight mechanisms, which are like here. So then,
and we stay in that.
Yeah.
Most people live in a low to medium to high constant state of upset, of stress, of fear, and they think it's normal. So we literally create neural networks. We create a state of being that reflects our feelings of stress and anxiety to the world. So, right? So that's the lower three centers. Then in the middle is the heart, right? But above that is the higher centers, the throat, the pineal gland, which is, in the middle of the back of the head, the pituitary gland, which is up here. These are the higher centers. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't, and we were talking about ascension last night. Like people have this like idea of ascension.
Oh my God.
Like, okay, like call whatever you want, but it's really this simple. The ascension, what people are calling ascension, is essentially this. We're stuck in these lower centers of our being, but when we get into our heart, which I'm going to get into because I haven't answered the question yet, but I'm going to. But when we get into our heart, when we open it up, when we begin to feel, then we start to be aware of these higher centers that they're not out there. They're not in some other place. They can be eventually, but they start in here.
I have the perfect phrase. I know you're going to love this. We should write this one down. Ascension is, true ascension, at least for us, is literally the ascension of consciousness in your body. Ascension is the ascension of consciousness in your body. Yeah. So it's like what you're saying. Literally what we're doing is we're learning how to unplug this whatever obstruction here, a little higher, little higher, little higher. Then we go to the heart, right? That's where a lot of people are right now, going to the heart. And then other people are starting to venture out into the throat. And literally what we're doing is we're releasing this consciousness so it doesn't have to be stuck and just be like basically operating here. And we could have that full body awareness and body consciousness. And by that time, obviously, we're going to be aware of what we actually have here. Like this is a piece of technology, but we're never going to realize that for just surviving, if you know what I mean. So, yeah.
So opening the heart is like this. Your desire, or your whatever, you can call it a desire, your intention to open your heart has to be greater than your complacency in suffering. So if you've been suffering nonstop, or you're just going through stuff and you're stuck in these old patterns of beliefs and ideas and thoughts, feelings, whatever, you have to make a decision that you're done with that. Or maybe that you're done with it, but you have to make a decision that you want something better for yourself, that you are ready to cross the threshold of the you that used to be into the you that you want to be. Yeah. And it's this simple. It's making a practice out of directing your energy, not to be crude here, but like when you are in love with somebody or you want to have sex with somebody, your attention goes into your genitals and they swell up, right? I know it's a crude example, but in the same way, when you instead focus on taking that awareness and putting it into your heart swells up. Okay, literally, just as all the blood goes into your sexual organs, the attention of your awareness going into your heart creates your heart to swell up. Now, the heart has profound, innate intelligence. It's profound. It's way more intelligent than we are with our analytical, stressed out mind.
Of course, it's the first organ to be what formed in the body.
To be formed,
It's crazy.
And so and you've experienced, like this isn't anything that everybody can do this, okay? The more you give attention to being in your heart, to being aware of it, the heart all of a sudden starts to think or experience its own
You awaken
things.
the intelligence of the heart, yeah, for sure.
Just by you constantly directing attention to it. So to simplify that question, 1, you have to want to open your heart more than you want to suffer. 2, you have to make a consistent, concerted effort to continuously be in your heart space. For me, that is, I love listening to just calm music. I get into it and I feel it. It's called heart coherence. Okay. When you get into a state where you're really coherent, you breathe rhythmically, because your heart is like jagged. When you're in a state of stress, your heart rate, if you look at it on a heart rate model, will be all jagged and messed up. But when you breathe with like a, even inhale, even exhale, and if you were to monitor your heart rate, you would see it would start to beat rhythmically.
Like more like curvy, right?
Sine waves, they call it. Yes. It's
I
but it's
see.
consistent.
Okay.
And when you're in that space, you suddenly feel.
It's like yesterday you were telling me that you could feel like the wave, you could feel your heart energetically pumping that out, like these waves like that. And we even, and the book that we were reading yesterday, the guy said that you can measure this field from 8 to 10 feet apart.
If not more.
You can measure it with do you remember the name of the machine or no? I don't remember. You can measure it. So it's real. And that's what you want to feed. That's what you want to focus on. And you want to focus on that wavy, like not the spikes, not the, you want to focus on, and Mercury retrograde right now, it's going to be really good for that. It'll be very helpful.
To go within, you mean? And
yes, and to practice these states of being, because it's that softness. I call it the butter feeling. It's very easy to know when you're in it. For me, everyone has a different, you can give your tip on how you know when you're in it. Well, for me, I know because of the word butter. Like I literally feel like my entire body is just like butter. But the butter, like after you take the butter from the fridge and it's just like really at like room temperature, and it's just very malleable. Very malleable. It's like that malleable feeling, very relaxed, that I feel inside my entire body, and especially in my heart. So you can be exercising, you can be doing all that, but it's about maintaining that butter feeling in your heart. For me, that's when I know when I'm in coherence or out of coherence. What about you? How do you know when you're in coherence?
So Angie says here, the heart has 500,000 times more energetic frequency than any other body and any other organ in the human body. Yeah. That's how I know. For me, it's a feeling. And it happened yesterday. Like you and I got together yesterday. We're spending a little time and you felt it, right? It's a palpable,
yes, we were meditating together actually.
Feeling, right? Like
feel it instantly.
There's no denying it. And so
instantly. For
me, it was something I felt as a child, but through trauma and through things that happened, I just didn't focus on it. But it's one of these things where, like I said, when you go into coherence, what you're going to say?
I just read people are like cooking it butter feeling. Hashtag
coining
butter.
it. Oh, coining it butter feeling.
Oh, coining it butter. That's so cute. Nice. Yeah. If you see me like grinning and looking at the screen and laughing, I'm just interacting with you guys telepathically. So go ahead. Let's wrap this up though, because it's getting late.
All right. So simply, it's this. It's everything we've been talking about, right? When you're in your heart and you're in a state of coherence, your heart begins to communicate with your brain. Your brain then begins to communicate with all the rest of your organs. That makes you feel whole. You feel complete. There's no mistaking it.
And the whole organs respond also to the heart, by the way. So sickness, like everything, it is what it is.
It's such a beautiful thing. And look, the next levels of it are you begin to, your desire, your selfish desires begin to diminish and selfless intentions begin to emerge. You feel compassion, you feel love, you feel empathy. It's not to say that you're not going to get jammed up. I have moments where things happen, I get upset, I go to, but I've practiced this so much that I catch myself. I'm like, oh my God, there's that old thought, there's that old thing. And so now I surround myself with people who are similar, who have a similar aspiration, who have made a decision that, okay, they might be suffering, they might be going through something, things happened in the past, but they've decided that they're going to rise above that. And this is why I love Raquel, by the way. Her knowledge of astrology is so profound. And what really got to me with Raquel was her understanding of astrology from the perspective of where the soul comes from. Because she says it all the time when, like a lot of us will judge people like, oh, they're doing this bad, or they have, whatever, they're evil, or they're this or that. But when you listen to her and you listen to how she charts right out, like no, their soul was actually
wanting to,
born.
needs to experience that, right?
It literally, because it goes against everything we think. We think, oh, that person's evil, they're doing bad, you got to run and hide. And yeah, you do. You don't want to get hurt by that person. But when it comes to, instead of shunning that person or shunning them out,
when you understand their, like when you look at their chart and you understand not only the plight they're going through, but also what they're here to do and like how they need to, you know, like for example, you know, I know someone that it was just creating havoc with a bunch of women, and I was one of them. And of course my instinctual initial reaction was like, run, oh my God, like why do I, you know, like why me? But there's just like a lot of people in the area. And when I went to look at this person's chart, this woman's chart, she was born with a Pluto and Venus square. And at that moment, that Pluto and Venus square was activated. So it's almost like, hey, if I had a freaking Venus and Pluto square, I'd probably be doing the same thing, if not worse, you know? So it's not like you're excusing people, but it helps you to empathize a little bit, because a Pluto and Venus square is hard. It's a cross that the person is carrying. And of course, it's something that wants to teach them a lesson and show them something at the end of the day. But it's like, it's easier for you to step out of the picture without being stressed, without being angry at the person, and just being like, oh, I know what's going on. It's okay, darling. I won't put up with your abusive behavior, but I'll hold space for you here in my little corner. I'm not going to hold grudges. Been there, done that too. You got a Pluto Venus square, so I'm going to be here praying for you while you work this out.
And look, for me, just so everybody knows, I'm an astrology student. I'm learning astrology.
I know, he's learning
Raquel
with me.
is my teacher,
Oh my
literally my teacher. I didn't want to learn astrology. I never did. But listening to her perspective, listening to things, and having my own journey with these internal self-development tools that I've just put to the test for my own thing, I became so acutely aware of how I can take my own self-growth and development to the next level by learning these deep soul aspects that she teaches. So it taught me, because I've had a lot of challenging people in my life, as you can imagine. And I struggled with like, how do I, you know, like this person really hurt me. They really did a lot of, you know, quote unquote wrong to me. And it traumatized me and it brought me through stuff. But I don't want to hold on to that because I know it's hurting me. So how do I forgive them? Yeah. So I did practice. I was getting to the heart. But having
astrology is like the missing component, I feel, for a lot of this spiritual stuff. Because I personally, like, people that know me, they know like I'm one of the most spiritual people that ever, like a little too much. But I do not get caught up. I don't like to get caught up in labels and names. I don't. Right? Yes. And the spiritual like world and community and all that, there's a lot of people that have a lot of different truths out there. So I usually like to mind my own business, stay here, and I just like absorb my spiritual experiences as they come to me. And then I work that out with my wisdom that I have, with my life experiences and all of it. But I really feel astrology is like the missing component for the spiritual understanding. And it complements it with wisdom. Because you're able to see from a very objective perspective, like numbers don't lie, angles don't lie, like this is what's happening, it is what it is for whatever reason. You're able to be objective about it, see the full picture, and then be able to achieve a clarity with like more wisdom and compassion too, you know? So anyway, thank God for astrology. All my best to you astrology students that are learning astrology with me. So I have the mentorship program. This is where we go in depth, the A to Z. And then the Astrology Classroom group is a free Facebook group where you're welcome to go there. And we just go a little more in depth with the astrological alignments happening now in the sky. So let's wrap it up.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for joining, and thank you all for just sharing this heart space with us. You know, we really, truly, genuinely care about you and your journey, because we know what it's like to suffer beyond any description. Even words, emotions, like we know what it's like. And to
want a better world too, like to suffer to get through it and to want a better world. And That's why I'm so attracted to your work and everything that you're doing, because I know your intention is to build a community of people that support each other,
Through
that love
this.
life.
Yeah.
And again, just to reiterate, like, her astrology has taken my empathy and compassion to a whole other level. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. So lots of love and lots of thank yous to everybody. Thank you all for being here all the way till the end. Thank you for participating in the contest. There will be more. And let me know in the comments if you liked Seth's participation and would like to have him again. Maybe for our full moon or a new moon, like once a month or something. All right. Lots of love to all of you beautiful hearts. Happy belated Valentines and a week ahead. Have a beautiful weekend. Bye-bye.